So before we jump into the Empty Space podcast, I hope you enjoy it. But the one theme and what kind of really attracted me to those guys was the fact that they love punk rock. And also they want to let you know that it is okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. We all go through it. We all go through dark times. We all go through times where we just wonder if we make a difference. I mean, I have. This is not a commercial. This is just me starting to show off this way by letting you know that one, you are loved. And I know you might not feel that right now, but hang in there. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And if you or someone you know may be struggling with thoughts of ending their life and leaving this earth, you can call the U.S. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The link and phone number in the description. Or if you're listening, you can call them at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-TALK. Anytime, day or night, or you can chat with them online at their website. Know that you are loved. Know that whatever you're going through today, it's going to get better. And you are here on this earth to make a difference. And we love you. All of us who did this interview, we are here for you. We love you guys, and enjoy the interview. Nick, or Batch, whatever you want to call him. He does not mind, ladies.
Nah.
And Steven from the Empty Space podcast. Welcome.
What is up, man?
Okay,
Okay,
so I am a huge fan of what you guys do. And I'm going to give you guys a ton of time to. I do have one question about your podcast. How do you get artists to talk for 2 hours?
I say it to Steve all the time. We're just kind of like the Joe Rogan of pop punk podcasts and stuff. We just kind of talk about anything, really. Like, obviously we want them on to talk about what their music, their whatever they have coming up, but like it just kind of always goes off the rails, I think, all the time. Yeah. We just end up talking about like, gorillas and tigers and stuff.
So two things real quick. If you're listening on audio, then you're missing Batch's wonderful background of the universe. And if you're listening on audio as well, you missed where Batch hit me on the nose here.
Talking shit about the bees.
Right, we couldn't be in the same room. So that is from a puppy, not a lady or Batch. So how'd you guys get started? I know that we could go back to episode 1 of your podcast to really hear why you guys started this, but some of the people in my audience are a little lazy. So if you all would be so kind to give us an elevator pitch of what you guys are about and what is the Empty Space podcast.
So Empty Space podcast, basically me and Batch are both sad boys, and we call each other when we're sad because we like pop punk music. No, in all seriousness, we decided to call each other one day because we call each other like every day and basically talk about, oh, did you find out this new band? Listen to this song. And then I'd also call Batch when I needed to cry or when I was feeling suicidal or when I was sad. And it was the same for Batch. He'd call me and we were just our go-to friends. And then we would be like, I'd be sad one day and Batch would send me a song by, Keep Flying. Hey, listen to this song, Reason. I bet you it'll help you out. And then I'd start feeling better. And one day we're on the phone and we were like, hey, like we both found this magical thing between like opening up to each other and listening to this pop punk hardcore music and we need to share this. Like some people need to hear this. And like I've always been very open about my mental health, probably more so in the last 2 years since starting the podcast. But as far as us, I think like we were just like, yo, we need to like show other people like it is okay not to be okay, and also check out these fucking badass bands. So I mean that's like the simple way of how it kind of got put together.
Yeah. How'd you guys meet each other?
Oh God. Almost dying in a car accident.
Yeah,
who hit the other one's bumper, and then you guys just became friends and then shared a podcast with each other. Is that how it happened?
No, we were
fender bender.
We had a mutual friend who was like, oh, Batch, you're into hockey. Like, my friend Steve plays on Sunday nights. Why don't you come play? And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll come skate. And then we were driving there, and like me and Steve just kind of instantly hit it off. And then we were driving there. I think Steve was like showing us some Snapchat or something, and just ran a stop sign completely. and there was like two cars coming from opposite directions, and we just like split the middle and just missed them. And I think at that moment we were like, yeah, we're gonna be best friends now. Like,
Yeah, we both like, oh, you listen to this music? You listen to this
yeah,
music? Oh, fuck yeah. It was like that moment in Step Brothers. We're like, did we just become best friends? Yep.
And by the way, if you're listening, this is not Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys. That is Nick on the air, but it's a Boston thing. I'm stereotyping here. So you guys started this podcast to talk about your favorite bands and mental health, which I believe is my first initial message to you guys was how I thought this was so important, because I don't think it's something we talk enough about, especially in these genres of music, which is punk and hardcore. And it is getting easier for people to talk about, but then if you get on Instagram, some people are like, oh, I got mental health issues. Like, it's almost like a hashtag now in some ways where
yeah.
we're not really dealing with it. We're not really talking about it, but we can use it as kind of an excuse. So what has been the reception from, I mean, getting bands to talk about their mental health can be a kind of a task, and you guys have seemed to do it well. Like, you've gotten bands to open up to you guys and talk about it. So how's it been with the bands? And then my second question would be, what has been the reception from just people?
Bands surprisingly has been really easy. I think, like, because Steve always asks the question, like, what advice can you give people who are struggling and like dealing with, mental health issues and stuff? And they just kind of like go. But I think it was the first time we interviewed John Ryan, and we start the show just like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? How you doing? Whatever. And he just looked into the camera and was like, I want to be honest with you guys, I'm not doing good at all. And we were like, holy shit. Like, we didn't expect it, because like most of them are kind of like, after probably like an hour or something, they open up and start like talking more. But like, he was just right off the rip started talking about his eating disorder, about his depression, about just everything. And it's been pretty easy. And then Steve can get into like how people have received it.
Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking off of what you said too, I think something that like me and Batch go in with like the interviews and stuff is just very natural, and kind of like, I think, understanding that like, we find this baseline of like just understanding we're human beings, and we open up about a lot of the lyrics and break down the lyrics and how like they represent to us. So I think that kind of breaks the ice, maybe subconsciously, with the bands. Like, when we talk about like, hey, that lyric really, meant like this to me in this sense, and I've talked to other people who can relate. So I feel like that subconsciously opens up their mind to like, wow, like, we're talking about something I wrote that I went through, and now you're relating to it. So they kind of feel that connection. And then, yeah, when we get to the end and, we ask the questions of like, hey, what tools can you give to people suffering or just going through like a hard day? And I think that's why it becomes like, easy and fluent, unless we get someone like JJR who can just like literally come on and be himself. So I just wanted to piggyback off that. But as far as like the reception from other people, it's been amazing. Just the fact that people are like, hitting us up and saying thank you. Bandmates after the interview, immediately, literally right after we close out a Zoom, they'll be like, hey, like, honestly, I haven't said that about anybody, like, or to anybody. So like, thank you for doing that. It's just been like, it's been really mind blowing and beautiful to see that people are like, accepting the fact that they're a human being. And it's been really also really fucking cool to see bands that we like look up to and go see talk about the same shit that we go through and be like, whoa, you're fucking sad too. Like, I know you write about it, but like, you're not just like some superstar. So it's been really cool, man. If that answers your question.
We have a mutual friend, John from Keep Flying.
He's the man.
And man, we didn't know each other when I did the interview with him.
Yep.
And I think we were talking for 50 minutes off air before we even started. And that was even so much better than the actual interview. And that dude, I'd crawl through hell for John at this moment.
Yep.
Because he's one of the most genuine people, most honest people. Like, you talked about how he just started off with, I'm not doing well, and it's like, man, like, we need more people like John from Keep Flying. And they're a great band too. They're an absolute Absolute
best.
awesome band. So who has been, well, let me say this. I tell people this all the time. I tell those who didn't get into punk or hardcore, and me being 41 now, when you try to explain this to people, you go, if you had a normal childhood, if you had a normal adolescence, you probably didn't get into punk and hardcore. It's just the way it goes. Like,
it's true.
Unless it was like your dad was into it and then he passed it on. It's a generational thing, but you didn't just have a perfect, good white picket fence life and then just wake up one day and discover Sepultura or Rancid or something like that. And so that's why when I first came up, I actually found you guys by doing research for my Keep Flying interview.
Oh, okay.
And I heard, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was like, oh, what is this about? And that is, it struck with me because for me, I really got into punk early on because, my childhood was kind of messed up. My parents were married, no cops were called, but it was just life and just other people and all of that. And, you try to be a normie, if you will, you try to do those normal things. And really music for me was my outlet. Like, I was like, oh, this guy is talking my language. And so for you guys to come in with your show and bridge that gap, I just want to honor both of you right now. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that you're, even the whole branding that you listen to sad music and it's not okay to be okay. It's okay to not be okay and stuff like that. Like, man, I just want to honor you guys because I think what you're doing is so crucial. And I know in the podcast interview world, like I talked about before, we're kind of supposed to be like in competition with each other.
Right.
And my whole goal is like, I want to honor you guys to my audience and let them know, like, look, we're all going through stuff. Like, we're all like, nobody's life is perfect. And you guys bring episode after episode. I've listened to you guys. You just keep bringing more and more insight and your rawness and your vulnerability that you guys, not even the artists, that you guys are given to the audience, I think is outstanding. And I commend you guys for it. And I want to thank you because you guys have helped me along in my journey of life.
Wow. That's exactly why we do it, man. That means a lot. So, thank you for that. And I'm glad we could help you just like, anyone else. That's what we say to people when they thank us. I mean, it's like, thank you for listening. Like without you, we're not, we're not here doing it, so.
And you guys have great merchandise, but continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, thank you. Yeah, we got some new stuff in the works that we're actually working on. So, but yeah, it's just like, spreading the word that like, especially like, it's more of a stigma with men, I think. And I think, I don't know if you know who Paddy Pimblett is, the UFC fighter, but he's always talking about like men's mental health and how men like can't talk about it, how like it's okay for women to sit and talk about it, but if men do it, you just get told to toughen up and like suck it up, just deal with it. It is what it is. Be a man. And it's like me and Steve are both, look at us, like beards, tattoos, like you wouldn't look at us and be like, these guys cry and get sad. And it's like, no, we do all the time. So we just want to come on and like, if Steve asks how I'm doing, I'm not having a good week or something, I'm like, hey, like this has been bothering me. I haven't been having a good week. And it's the same with Steve too, so it's just being honest and open with people the whole time. And it helps us too. It's therapeutic for us at the same time.
So my question for you guys is, for those who are listening, who want to start a podcast with their boy, what is, how do you guys go through the process of even coming up with, do you guys reach out to the artist? Because you guys do a lot of bantering before the actual interview happens. And I'm like, kudos to y'all. Y'all can go 20 minutes just talking about, you can tell you guys are such great friends because it's like 20 minutes. It's very entertaining, very humorous. But a lot of times it's like, y'all are just like, yeah, I went to McDonald's. And then that's a story that leads to this story, this story, this story. oh yeah, we have an interview coming up with some guy too. But anyways, and you guys just keep going. So on the creative side, do y'all like, oh, we're going to talk about this? Or do you guys just kind of press record and let's see what happens?
It's just press record and see what happens.
Yeah, I think one thing we like when we started this, we were telling each other like, because you listen to other podcasts and like everyone's got structure and stuff, and like that's kind of become our structure where it's like, let's get on, let's talk to each other, see how we're doing. If something happens, it happens, and then let's get into what we're getting into. But dude, yeah, that's what we love, man. We just love hitting the button and then just being like, yo, what the fuck is up, dude? Like, what did you do? And then Batch is like, well, I did go to McDonald's and I got a story from Lynn. It's good stuff. So.
I think what is the difference, because I've tried to reach out to other podcast shows because I'm like, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to introduce you to my audience. And you're met with such resistance because I go back to that whole like we're in competition with each other or whatever. And I think what like you guys do, like, yeah, we've interviewed some of the same artists. And at the end of the day, the artists are the ones who win because they get more people listening to their story or hearing their music and stuff like that. And you guys attack it more like almost like radio drive time. When you're in the car, you're playing clips of the music, you're having a good time. You guys are interjecting with your stories, and it's very entertaining to listen to. Where I come in more of just like a Q&A session. Like I'm trying to almost I'm trying to blend in with the wall and let the artist talk, kind of let them do like 90% of the time. And so for me, I wanted to introduce you guys because once again, love what you're about, love the artist. You guys get, like you guys did one, and I was like, man, that guy left me on read. I'm still waiting for him to get back to me, and maybe you can give me a phone number or something. I don't know. And
who was it?
Absolutely.
Well, we're not going to say on the air right now. Okay. Off the air. Come on, man.
You would have said it,
You're trying to get me canceled here or something like that. Well, hey, let's talk about who the artist you hate the most is, Batch, while we're at it. No.
So, all right. Machine Gun Kelly. There, I said it.
Metal God Kelly, as Finn McKenty calls him.
Yeah.
Metal God Kelly. So who is your favorite band of all time? Like what artist got you guys, each of you guys, into music?
For me, it was 3. My dad introduced me to Led Zeppelin and Guns N' Roses when I was really, really young. And then I think I was probably like 10 or 11 when I heard Dookie for the first time. And that was it. It was complete. That album changed my life. And Green Day was the band that like just changed everything. It was like, this is perfect. I love this. And then I obviously got into like when I like heard that they were into like, the Ramones and Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and all those bands, I obviously dove into them more and just fell in love with it.
Yeah. I'd say for me, Black Flag, Minor Threat, and then obviously Blink-182. Those are like the 3 pinnacles growing up that like just completely changed me. And it was funny because it was like Black Flag. I didn't know what the hell I was listening to. I just knew he was angry, and I loved Damaged, and I loved every single part of Henry Rollins. And then when I got into Minor Threat, it was like my stage of like super into like straight edge stuff, and then all of a sudden I listen to Blink-182 as I get into like my later teens, and I'm like, yo, this is so cool. They're talking about dicks. I don't have to be angry all the time. So that was kind of like how, and then they all mashed together, man.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Blink-182 reunion?
Let's go.
Steve's got a huge DeLong in his pants.
I can't be happier, dude. All right, like I'm not gonna rant on it too long, but like going from no Tom for so long and thinking like this is it, and then after like Mark goes through cancer, or you should say Travis almost dies, Mark goes through cancer, and all this shit just happens. I just want to like just seeing the 3 of them together, happy again, and like actually getting along. That's all I give a fuck about, dude. And like I am just so stoked to see them back together and enjoying life the way it's like supposed to be. And you bet your ass I'm going to be seeing them live too.
Okay. What did you think of the Matt Skiba era?
I'll be honest. I'm not a fan.
Or the John Feldman induced Matt Skiba era.
All right. It wasn't bad music. It was good music. I just think they should have called it something else. I think you put a name on it as high as Blink-182, and without Tom, you're not Blink-182 in my eyes. Right. Like it's just such a big factor to miss. You're a 3-piece band. You're not a 5-piece. You can't like just your backup guitars can't leave. And if that's the case, then cool, like you can continue. But like having such a drastic percentage out of the band that like makes up a big part, and to put in Matt Skibo, who did an amazing job. Like he did so good. Like I'm so grateful he was there to keep the name going. And so many people got introduced to Blink, and maybe that helped them out through a hard time. And they went back and listened to Adam's song. But like I just, for me, is like, I don't know, call me old school now, I guess, whatever. Like I just couldn't get into it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Minor Threat. What is the Empty Space podcast? What do you guys think of the straight edge community?
Well, Steve is straight edge.
Are you?
And,
okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
do you do caffeine?
I do. Yeah. I do caffeine.
we had to talk with John Ryan about this. Go ahead. This is cool.
Yeah,
this is a fun one.
JJR, we talked about it, man. And it was like a good 30 minutes on the whole straight edge thing, man. I think everyone has their own perspective on what straight edge is. And I think there's especially now as we, in 2023, there's just so many, like, you could be, some people think like you're not straight edge if you have sex. You're not straight edge if you have coffee. You're not straight edge if you, do this or that. And to me, it's just like a mindset and a lifestyle. And I used to be so hardcore with straight edge when I first got into it. Like, I mean, hardcore.
When I first met you.
Yeah. It was nothing, dude. Like, I was just like, I would actually like almost like shit on people because they were this way. And that became unhealthy. And I realized, wow, this isn't what it's about, man. It's just like being true to myself and being pure to myself. And for me, straight edge is just that, man. And like no drugs, no alcohol, and keeping it as clean as possible with that stuff, and try not to take any like, medication that's not necessary for myself. And that was hard for me. Side note, I'll bring that up. When I got prescribed Zoloft for my anxiety, I literally had to call Batch, and I didn't take it for like 2 weeks because I was so scared of breaking edge. But it was like, that's not, to me, that's not, it took a lot, and it still hits me sometimes. It's like I'm taking something that's like not natural to change me, and that hit me. But it's not what it is, man. Like for me, it's different for everybody. So that's kind of it.
Batch, are you straight edge as well?
No, I'm well, I mean, I guess, but I'm sober now. So like you find like even in the sober community, there's like different like perspectives on that. There's like people who, who are addicted to heroin, and they say they're clean, but they drink. So it's like, are you really sober? It's like that. But to me, it's like whatever allows you, like Steve said, whatever allows you to live the best version of you and best version of your life, then that's fine. Like if you have 2 or 3 beers a week and you don't shoot heroin anymore, like then you're good. Like, with me, there's no, I can't drink. I can't, never was just one beer. It was always like, we're going pedal to the metal 100%. Like we're getting shit faced if we start drinking. And then it led to Coke and everything else. So I found sobriety about 3 years ago, and it's the best decision I made in my life so far. So,
well, you mentioned the Zoloft thing. A couple of years ago, I had appendix surgery. My appendix was rupturing, and they prescribed me. I actually got prescribed 2 different painkillers.
Oh, those are good.
And the pharmacist said, I don't know why they did this. If you take both of them, you could die. And I'm like, I don't even want them. Like I'll deal with the pain and take aspirin, because I knew like I would get addicted to it. And I've never smoked pot. I don't even drink hardly. Like we're talking, I can count on one hand how many times I drank last year. And, and I've never smoked pot. I've never done a drug in my life. And when I tell people, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm pretty much straight edge. They're like, yeah, but do you drink caffeine? And I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, no, then you're not straight. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can't join your club,
Yeah,
exactly.
To who is the god of straight edge? Like,
well, you get those hardcore, like the Minor Threat crowd,
for sure.
They're the gatekeepers of straight edge. And and I'm like, man, I want to
be proud.
I want to join the movement, because if you want to talk about a mental health issue, I tell people this all the time. Alcohol and drugs is not going to change your life for the better. It's going to make it worse. And I've never met somebody who was addicted to a substance who had great mental health.
No, that's the thing. Yeah.
And, you know, I know artists who these days they're like, oh, well, I smoke pot because it makes me creative. And then I know other artists who are like, it actually, we got more creative when we stopped doing all of that crap because we weren't so we weren't so reliant on something.
Right.
And you know, it seems like in the punk community, you do have the I guess you do have the straight edge people, then you have the people who are straight edge, but they won't call it straight edge. And then you have the choking victims crowd and all them who are, you know, the fat mics of the world, those guys who very much prop up the party lifestyle, if you will.
Yeah.
And do you guys, with what you guys have struggled with and what you guys are very open about, do you find the connection between a mental health issue and substances?
100%.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
congratulations for 3 years sober, man.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, Steve can tell you like how depressed and down and anxious I was when I was drinking and doing drugs and stuff. And like, you know, that was the reason I drank and did drugs, was because it was like filling that void. Like I wouldn't feel any of that stuff when I was fucked up. And then, like I tell people now, I'm like, you're not going to find happiness at the bottom of that bottle, just so you know. Like, it's not there. I've been there. It's not there. And it takes a while to figure that out. But once you do, it's, you know, it's the best decision I've made in my life, just putting it down. But yeah, there's 100% a correlation between addiction of any kind and mental health.
The artists that you guys talk to, the ones who know that you guys are straight edge, are clean and sober, how do they respond to that?
Oh, they all love. I mean, we've talked to, yeah, they love it. I mean, John Ryan's straight edge. There's members of Calling All Captains who are like our best friends there. I think 3 of the 5 members are straight. I mean, sober. There's almost every band we've talked to, there's a member in there that's sober. So they're all super supportive and, you know, super uplifting about it.
Yeah. And even if they're not sober or not edge or anything like that, they're like, shit, man. They're just super like pumped to just like see like
celebrate
where we're at in life. And they're just like, yeah, it's cool, man. They like, it's cool to get someone who's like, oh, I'm not cool. We're just going to talk. Like, this is dope, dude. Like, it's just awesome.
I've actually had artists off air tell me like, hey, you know, don't tell anybody, but you know, we're straight edge.
No shit.
And I'm like, why
not tell anyone?
Yeah. Why won't you talk about it? And they're just like, we just don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with the questions. We don't want to deal with, you know, if they have sex with their girlfriend, then they're not edge or, you know, or
I
coffee.
can see that. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, man, it's our secret, you know, like, cool. And
I got you.
Like, you should come out, because I think that, you know, for me, I was a big Rancid kid growing up, and always to hear their positions on that stuff, that they were very, you know, they were drunk during Op Ivy, basically. And then with Rancid, they really became very sober, if you will. They'll call it sober. And that kind of was like, well, they can do it. Like, that's who I kind of looked up to when everybody else was getting into hip hop and, you know, smoking pot and doing all of that stuff. And yeah, when John, after the interview actually with John from Keep Flying, I was like, bro, you're straight edge. Yeah. And I was like, why didn't we talk about that, you dork? We talked about all the people you don't like in the industry. We didn't even talk about, you know, you being straight edge and touring, because that's got to be the hardest thing. Is you're always playing in these bars and clubs and everything, and it's all like right there for you guys. So what do you guys, back to your podcast, what do you guys have coming up for the rest of, well, for the next 9 months of 2023? Who do we have? What guests do we have coming up?
We got, well, we just locked in Captains again for like the 15th time.
We love those boys.
Yeah, we love them. We're working on getting Tori, who is the guitar player for Transit, on.
Yeah, he's coming on.
we're working on trying to get Matty Arsenault from A Loss for Words.
You got Magnolia Park.
Magnolia Park. Nick Thompson from Hit the Lights. We're trying to get him on. Yeah, we got some stuff cooking.
Some we
That's
can't
probably
talk about.
yeah.
A lot we can't talk about, you know.
Of course. How is for those who want to get into podcasting, maybe they want to interview artists, maybe they want to go and do, you know, I was actually talking to someone the other week and they said, no, I don't want to do Zoom interviews. I want to do them in person. And I said, yeah, but it's a lot easier to do them over Zoom. For you guys, for those who are listening who want to start a podcast and maybe rip off you or rip off me, how has it been? What has been the reception when it goes to getting artists? Like, has it been very easy for you guys? Have you had to spend a lot of time selling yourself to these artists? I mean, after 100 episodes, you guys have a pretty good track record at this moment. So how is that like been? How's that process been for you guys that you could share with those who are up and coming, who pretty much want to rip us off?
Well, we basically just started out just hitting bands up on Instagram.
Like at the shows.
Yeah, we would go to like little shows and just, if we liked them, we'd be like, hey, and we'd give them stickers and tell them who we were and like go from there. And that kind of evolved into what it is now. And like, you know, we've met like so many people now that we have like connections where like we can be like, hey, you played with so and so, can you talk to them and have them come on and like see if they will. But you just got to be persistent. I'd say, like, you know, you got to realize that they are busy. I mean, I think that's been the biggest eye opener for me personally, is like what goes into actually making a record. And you don't realize how much time that actually takes. And then they're touring, and then they're doing PR stuff, and then they gotta find time to record, and then they got families and stuff. So it's a lot. And it can be a little frustrating sometimes when you're like trying to get someone on and they keep like rescheduling, or they keep like changing this and doing that. And it's like, you know, you just gotta keep going with it and just be a little persistent, and maybe not hit them up every week, but like, you know, hit them up. And then if they don't say anything, you know, a month later, I'd be like, hey, just following up, seeing if you still want to come on. Do you have any time? Like, you know, and they're just people. It's not, I think people put them on such a pedestal that they look at them like they're not just people, and they're just a normal dude. Just go, like we had this band on Uncanny Valley. Yeah, and they were like 20 years old. And they played a show, I think, with, what'd they say, Real Friends?
Yeah, Real Friends, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, we were scared to go up to the singer and talk to him. I'm like, you played a show with them, dude. Just go up and say hi. Like, they're not gonna, what are they gonna do to you? Like,
Right.
It's just like, I feel like people in podcast, I mean, me and Steve did it too, where we would be like, oh, we can't message them. Then what are they gonna do? They're not gonna, and the worst they're gonna do is leave you on red.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
and we met Parker Cannon and talked to him. We can talk to anybody now, dude. Like,
yeah,
that was our that was our white whale. We were so scared, but we were like, fuck it, let's go. And and like Batch is saying, I think the biggest thing for us is just like, yo, if you're afraid to talk to anybody, or like just send an email, send a Instagram, DM them, because like, but be a little different, you know, like don't just say, hey, how are you? I have a podcast, because it's gonna look like a spam. Like, you know, be yourself. Like, hey, like, even tell them you're scared. Hey, I'm a little scared to hit you up, but like, in all honesty, I would really love to talk to you. We talk about hardcore music, or we talk about ska. Like, just like be yourself and give them a little description of who you are. Like, make it personal, because like I feel like we would hit up bands and just be like, hey, we're Menthol Podcast, want to come on? And then we'd get nothing. And then now we're doing things like, we love this specific song. We heard this exact interview. And like just gave them like, we actually know you and care about you, rather than just wanting you on because you're a big band or whatever.
Right. Has there been any artists that you guys have interviewed that you were a little bit starstruck about? Where you're like,
which one?
The last one.
Tyler, the last one with Youth Fountain, with Tyler Zanin from Youth Fountain. We were like before it, I think me and Steve both were like, okay, calm down, just breathe, teeth in the tongue in the lips, like it's all right. Like,
right.
You
And
know,
Anthony from Capstan, that was pretty big.
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like if we ever got like Billy Joe from Green Day or like Tom DeLonge from Blink, we were like we'd have to like literally probably take a Xanax to like
Right.
calm down.
There goes the Edge. The Edge is gone.
Dude,
We got
Oh, it's
Tom
gone,
DeLonge.
dude. It's gone. Like
Yeah,
I hit up Mike Vallely because he's like one of my favorites ever. And I've met with him a few times, and we were emailing back and forth, and just the fact that he's like emailing me, like I'm like, yo, like I was texting back, I don't even know what's happening. So like, if we ever got somebody like, I mean,
like
I guess
Parker Cannon was another one too that we were like,
yeah,
oh my
it's
God.
so weird. The people
Yeah.
we met, it's just been a journey of like, they're just people, but it's also so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the Voodoo Glow Skull interview coming, and that was my
Dope.
music in the 90s, like
Dope,
Rancid,
dude.
Voodoo Glow
Yeah.
Skulls. And I was like, I just kept calling him sir on the interview. And he's like, I'm only 10 years older than you. And I'm like, I know, but you were my youth. Like it was you and Tim Armstrong, Eddie. And
Dude, that must have been cool. Not to cut you off, but like interviewing Tim must have been.
I haven't interviewed Tim.
Legendary shit.
Not yet.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you did.
Eddie from Voodoo Glow
okay.
Skulls. And it was, but like I was in the mid 90s. I saw the Voodoo Glow Skulls play with Rancid.
Wow.
And, and it was like, that was like my youth right there. And so that was cool. Would love to interview Tim, but I think that, I think Tim only knows how to use a microphone when he's doing music. Cause I think there's one podcast interview with him ever.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just go. Hey, here's the deal. We'll do a joint show. We'll just go knock on his door, get the camera rolling. We'll wait for him to go out and get his newspaper, and we'll do a joint show. We'll do a cross show.
That'd be legendary.
Yeah, it would be. That'd be sick.
So I loved Rancid growing up. Oh God, yeah.
That's my band, man. That's my band right there. So, and like that would be here. I'm gonna help you guys out live right now. Talk about a band that could talk about mental health.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like with their addictions that they've conquered and the industry and all of that. Like, who better? So, are you guys both in Boston? Steven, are you in Boston as well?
Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. I'm just down near Cape Cod more.
Okay. Who's your favorite Boston band?
Boston band?
Mm-hmm.
Bane.
Oh man. That's hard.
Bane, right?
I mean, Bane is great.
Oh yeah.
Bane's probably one of like the OGs.
A Lost for Words.
Bane and A Lost for Words. Yeah, those are the two, because they're two different like genres, and they just like, one's hard as fuck and the other one's sad boy shit.
I'm impressed that you didn't go with the easy layups of Boston bands. The Murphys, the Boss Tones.
No. All right, so Pete, hold on. When all right. Oh God, I love Boston. Don't get me wrong, but when you get free shows all the time and you hear the same music over and over from the Dropkicks, like they're talented dudes, they're fucking awesome. But like, it's just something that like, yo, every St. Patty's Day we got a free show, we got to see them.
Yeah. So it just it just got to a point where it's like hearing it on the radio, and I was like, ah, man, I'm shipping out to Boston. Yeah, like I get it, but like
I always no knock on them.
Yeah, I always say like if you're not from Boston, like we really probably wouldn't like them. Like we'd probably be like, who the fuck are these guys? Like the hell's the Red Line? What are they talking about? But like I think for me, probably my two favorite Boston bands are probably Transit and A Lost for Words.
Okay. What do you guys think of the have you listened to the new Dropkick albums without Al Barr?
I'll be honest, I have not.
Didn't even know it existed.
Oh yeah, no, they released, it's like kind of like a folk album.
Okay.
Without Al Barr.
Okay.
All right. I know their deep cuts aren't terrible. Like it's actual, like it's pretty good, like punk music. Their deep cuts, not like their Boston stuff is actually pretty good. But like Steve said, they just kind of like every St. Patty's Day, they play here for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So it just kind of wore us down.
Oh, I can.
Is the new record like a flogging Molly style, or is it like completely different?
Like Woody Guthrie, like old country,
Oh, wow.
minus Al Barr, so it's a lot of Ken Casey.
Yep.
Mhm.
And they're doing a tour without Al Barr because he's been at home because his mom's sick.
Mhm.
And it's good. It's just it's Matt Skiba era Blink-182 without Al Barr.
Talk to
There
us,
you
Matt.
go.
Tell
There
us
you
the
go.
truth.
There you go. Okay.
It would be like in a Rancid world if Tim Armstrong didn't do an album with them and they got Tom DeLonge to sing, or it'd be like,
Oh my
Yeah.
God, what the hell?
it's
Yeah.
just weird because Al Barr brings a lot of dynamics to that. Now, do you
Yeah.
guys, being from Boston, do you guys ever make it out to New York? And have you guys done anything with like the whole New York hardcore scene at all?
A little. Nothing. I mean, most of those bands come here.
Mhm.
Like we've seen Regulate a couple times.
And
Who
it
else?
from Philly is so good too. Sorry, that was a side note.
Yeah. But we usually just wait for them to come here because like it's kind of tough to get out there and get into it. And Boston's got its own pretty solid scene here with it. But the Middle East is closing soon, so we probably will have to go out to New York.
Okay, so I got a story for you about the Middle East. So
Oh God, here we go.
years ago in the 90s, the Bosstones released a live album called Live in the Middle East. Or
Live
from the Middle East.
Yep.
For about 15 years, I thought, where in the Middle East did they record this?
Afghanistan.
Yeah, well, yeah. Was it? Are we in Iraq during the war? And I was talking to a friend, and they were like, "No, you idiot! That's a venue in Boston, like a legendary, like Fenway Park legendary." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's not as cool. Like, it's just not as cool." So, you guys are you guys monetized on YouTube? Because I have YouTube Premium, so I don't know if there's commercials or not. Are you guys monetized on YouTube? But your podcast is monetized, like the audio version, right? You guys have commercials. There's commercials that play.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I would say then.
Hey, there's a bag.
I haven't seen a cent. So
all right. Well, there's a bag of money somewhere with Empty Space Podcast on it. All right. So every podcast I listen to, there's commercials at the beginning of it.
No shit.
On what?
When
YouTube?
I listen to you guys on Spotify.
Oh wow.
What? I never knew that.
Who do you guys distribute your podcast through?
Anchor.
Okay. I'm telling you.
I mean, I never knew. Would you pay for Spotify?
Yeah.
So do I. I never hear an ad.
I heard. Hey, I even heard one the other day when I was listening to you guys. Something for Tennessee. Something in Tennessee. Car broker, car loan, something like that.
What the fuck? What
I got breaking news right now.
What the fuck, dude?
I got breaking news for you guys. Here, we're gonna try this right now. Here we go.
What the hell? I never knew that.
This is chock full of professionalism right here.
I love it.
We'll go to this one. Top 5 bangers featuring Nick. Don't embarrass me. Oh no, that's not okay. Next one. Hold on. I'm telling you. All right. Look, I'm not hallucinating. I'm going to be listening to your show. I'm going to hear. Oh, dude, that would have been such a great mic drop if that would have happened on the air.
I know. Damn.
I'm going to be listening to you guys in the shower, on my speaker in the shower. And then there's going to be a commercial play, and I'm going to have to record it from the shower to prove that I'm not hallucinating. You're like,
That's wild.
Yeah, this guy said he's drug-free and he's hallucinating right on the show, right? With commercials. I'm telling you though, I heard one. I did. Wow. It's like I saw Bigfoot.
Yeah.
God.
Okay. Well, I will find out. And if I'm wrong, when I bring you guys back on, I'll tell you I was wrong.
I love it.
So what are you guys like? I signed up for a pre-order for your hoodie because you guys have awesome merch.
Thank
You guys have
Thank you.
awesome merch, and I'm waiting for that pre-order. Have you guys like I've never done I monetize everything. If I'm walking to my mailbox, I'm going to try to put an ad on my back and make money from it.
Hell yeah.
Have you guys seen, for those who want to start a merch line for your show, what has the reception been like that for you guys? Like, have you had a great response from people who want to buy your stuff?
Yeah, people want
Yeah.
to buy it, but then when it comes time to pay up, they don't want
Oh yeah, they're one of those. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
We've
to.
we've sold more to people that weren't our friends.
Yeah.
That would actually like purchase the merch than our friends itself. Like no knock on those friends that bought it, but like Batch is saying, like we have so many people like respond like, this is sick, let's get one. And even when we put the order in on our last drop, we had so many people purchase it, and I'd say like 80% of that was not friends and family, which was like blind blowing, because everyone would just be like, oh well, can I do half since I know you? Can I like get one free?
Yeah, they would be like, it's free advertising for you, so just give me one. And I'm like, the fuck,
Wait a
dude?
minute.
Like, putting my heart and soul into this, and you're gonna fucking knock me for a $20 t-shirt? Like, fuck off. So
have you guys had any like friends and family who are like, you should interview me? Have you guys had that?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Friends more than family.
Yeah.
Like,
my sister was on the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
Was she really?
Like, yeah. My fiance like says she wants to come on. She never would, but like she says she wants to come on all the time because she has like severe anxiety to the point where it's like she's agoraphobic. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So she would be awesome to come on, but she's like super shy. Obviously, she's super shy and reserved. So, but yeah, we get there's people all the time. They're like, "Oh, you guys should have me on," and I'm like, "What are you gonna talk about with us? You don't listen to pop punk. Like, you bash mental health. Like, what are we gonna talk to you about? Like, why is the sky blue? Like, but."
They want to talk politics. They want to do something that brings us all together. They want to talk politics.
We love that. We love talking politics.
No, I'd be like, oh, I just interviewed Grade 2. Like they got their new album coming out. It's going to be great. And then undoubtedly I have a friend who's like, you should interview me because I sell insurance and I would be a good listen.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
Yeah.
You want a good one? We have someone that wants us to interview them. And they're like a Tony Robbins of like mental health and addiction. So I'm like, me and talked about it, and we're like, what do we do with this?
Right.
Like, we're not gonna sit there and be like, yeah, there's this 12-step like fix all program that's gonna make everything sunshine and rainbows for you. Like,
right.
And I think we have to say that a lot on the episodes too, where we're like, don't take our advice as like gospel. Like, we're not medical professionals at all. Like, we're just two dudes that get sad and talk about pop punk music. That's it. And if it helps, it helps. But like, you got to do your own work too at the same time. Like, we can't do it all for you.
I think, for me, mental, like, there is no pill that's going to make you happy. Because do you know anybody who takes antidepressants and they're still depressed?
Yeah, I did. And Steve did.
Right. And it's like, I think for those people who are genuine and like, I want to get better, I want to feel happier, I want to do this, I want to do that, the journey to even admitting that you're having a bad day and that you need help. I mean, I've been in therapy for 3 years now. It's been great. It's been wonderful,
That's awesome.
Good for you, man. That's awesome.
And it's just because like, there was nothing traumatic. It wasn't court ordered or anything. It was just like, I'm not living my best life. And I've done this for 37, 38 years on my own. And now I need to take it up a notch because I got a 7 and a 9-year-old child and kids, and I want to be my best for them. You know what I'm saying? And I actually told someone yesterday, I go, I think everybody should be in therapy. I
Yeah.
think everybody should, because it doesn't have the stigma that it once had when you would tell people you're in therapy and they think you're cuckoo, you know, like,
Crazy.
Right.
yeah. And so, like, for you guys, being friends,
Mhm.
how was it for you? Because I have a person in my life who I can call and just be, I could do the
Open,
ugly crying
100%.
with him. I could do the ugly crying. He does it with me. We're on the phone with each other and it's like, screw this. And then 10 minutes later, we're happy. But we just, that's the person I, you know, like I'm all feminine with, if you will.
Mhm.
For those people who don't have that person,
Mhm.
and they might, but they just haven't been vulnerable, because you guys are here and you guys pretty much found each other. What would you recommend to that person who is lonely, who doesn't have somebody to share, you know, their struggles with? Like, how did you guys get to that point where you guys were vulnerable with each other, with your own struggles, your personal struggles?
Boy.
That's good. That's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Yeah. That, well, to answer like how we got there, I think, you know, I'm not as open as Steve is about it. I've opened up more doing this for the past 2 years, but like, I think for me, it was when Steve opened up and just like start, like, it was just like one random night after hockey, we kind of get into an argument, and he was like, "I have to tell you something," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You know, I have like severe depression and OCD and anxiety and stuff, and sometimes I like get upset about things and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm working on it." And I was like, "Same, man." Like, and it just kind of like went from there where like, and then I'd start noticing him doing things that like I would do when I was depressed or suicidal, and I would be like, "Hey, you good?" And he would be like, "No, I'm not." And then we'd talk about it, or like he'd notice me doing stuff, and then yeah, I mean, I guess Steve can talk about, you know, if you don't have someone, I would just say, you know, go find a therapist. And, you know, it might not even be the first therapist you find that clicks. You might have to go through 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You never know, but you're not ever going to regret reaching out for help. I don't know. Steve can talk more on it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So movement is key. If there's one thing that's going to help, I'd say everybody in this world, and I can say that and mean that is movement. And what I mean by movement is, if you're someone out there who is struggling and doesn't have that person yet, and I emphasize yet, because you will find that person, move. And by movement, I mean get uncomfortable. As hard as that is, you gotta get uncomfortable. And for me, you know, playing hockey, I had to do that. Moving your body, going for a walk. You never know who you're going to meet at a coffee shop when you take a 2 mile walk. You never know who you're going to meet if you walk in the gym and every day you're consistently going. And that doesn't mean you have to lift weights and get big, just going, moving your body, because focusing on you is going to be the first thing. You're not just going to find somebody sitting in the house and alone and sad all day. And there is nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes a problem of unhealthiness, is like something I did. I didn't leave my house for over a year. How are you going to find that? How am I going to find that batch? You know, how am I going to find that Cam or that somebody I can talk to? So movement, if you're just finding yourself stuck in a rut, move and go to the coffee shop every day. Say hi to the, you know, barista every day, you know, and just get uncomfortable, because being complacent and comfortable in that one spot is temporary, and it's not going to get you far. You know, a lot of people say, you know, I like it when I'm comfortable, but comfortable is temporary. So just try to get uncomfortable and move the body. You just never know what's going to happen. And that's what happened for me is I moved my body. And then once I started getting that right, you know, I started meeting people through that. And then I met the batches. You know, I had a lot of things going on with like eating disorders and stuff. And, you know, life's a circle, man. They all connect. If you're not moving right, you're not sleeping right, you're not eating right, that's not going to work. So try to eat as best as you can, sleep as much as you can, and move the body as much as you can. So I'll keep it as simple as that, as movement, man.
Yeah.
Back in the summer, I topped out at almost 300 pounds, and I'm 6'. Yeah. And I was 6'5", and I was like, that's it. You know, this gym membership that I've had for 5 years, that's been taking money out of my account, every single month. That's literally a half a mile from where I'm at right now. I could walk there in 10 minutes. I'm going to go
Time to
try it
cash
out.
in on that.
I'm going to go see what's going on. Right. And, you know, you go into the gym and man, I was eating like garbage all the time, you know, like
Yep.
I was on a first name basis with the people at McDonald's or Burger King or Taco Bell or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that food, but that was 3 meals a day. Same with my kids, you know, like, I mean, we would eat out every meal and you didn't want to go to the gym. And my, you know, mental health, dude, I'm up till 4 or 5 in the morning. No reason. You just like, well, I'll sleep till noon, whatever. It's fine. And I finally, like right around 300 pounds, I was like, that's it. I'm done. And I went to the gym and I'm worried that everyone's going to make fun of me. Yeah. They're going to look at this guy. Nobody cared when I walked in. Nobody was like, oh, look at this dude. Look at this fatty. And I went in, weight started dropping, picture like clarity, man, in your life started, the tension in your brain almost came down. Like, you're like, it's not as bad as I thought it, you know, like, because when you're depressed, everything is a
Everything
huge issue.
Sucks.
Everything.
Yep.
You can't get out of your own way.
Mhm.
And I'm down like 80 pounds since
Good for you, man.
Since the summer. I basically live on chicken, rice, and a green every night. My
Same.
kids are the same way. I mean, I have the most boring palate in the world. I'm like, my mom will be like, what are you having for dinner tonight? I'm like, what do you think I'm having? She's like, chicken again. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, why don't you try something different? And I'm like, getting the protein, getting the good carbs. And dude, like, I wanted to interview. I had set up to interview. Grade 2 was my first interview I did. I had that set up for almost a year. And I could not get the motivation to actually schedule the time with them because I would have to, you know, get out of my own head.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think, and you might never know this, you guys might never know this, but man, there are people who have listened to your show that probably have been at the end of their rope. And they listen to what you guys, the struggles that you went through, how you guys make it seem so natural to have these problems. Not that you're being flippant about it, but it's like, you know what? Your problem is not exclusive to you. We're all going through something. We're all dealing with being overweight or being depressed or not being motivated or eating bad or having addictions or whatever. I want to tell you right now, 100 episodes in, I guarantee you, man, you guys have changed some people's lives from maybe unearthing themselves, to be honest with you, because you guys are so passionate. And I just like, man, I'm just honored to talk to you guys. Like, I really am. And I'm sitting here thinking about what you guys are talking about, thinking about the episodes I've listened to, and knowing the lives that you guys have saved by y'all just being real and raw on your show. And I think that's great.
Wow.
Not trying to be heavy here or anything like that.
No, I mean,
no, man.
That's amazing, man. And that's why we do it. I mean, you know, we love it, first of all. And second of all, we do it to help people. And, you know, for you to say that is like, that's it, man. That's exactly it. And we can't thank you enough for saying that. And, you know, it's just been amazing.
Because I'm sorry, go ahead, Steven.
No, I was just kidding, man. You brought chills to me, bro. That was
same,
that was
man.
Beautiful, man. I love you, buddy. That was like, damn, man. That's it, man. You hit it on the head, and that's it. Even if it's just one person, dude. That's what we've said since episode 1. It's like, I don't give a fuck if we have one listener and we save one life. That's the goal, man. There's too many people out there hurting.
It was the first person I think that hit us up and said something like that was this girl from, where's she from? London, England, Steve?
Oh my God, yeah.
This girl, Heather?
The UK, yeah.
Yeah, she's like one of the biggest supporters of us. And she just randomly hit us up one day and was like, hey, like, you know, I've been in a pretty bad way and I found you guys, and you guys have like helped pull me out of that. And me and him were both like, you know, her message like brought tears to our eyes because we were just like, this is why. This is it. And we try to introduce people to music that's going to do that for them, because there's music that's done that for us. And, you know, that's the whole reason we do it.
I mean, I could say for me, I think music saved my life back in high school. Like, it gave me an outlet not to be destructive. And, you know, I think that, especially in the genre of punk, you have a lot of gatekeepers. You have a lot of people who they want to show you how punk they are, and they come across as dicks.
Yep.
And that's fine. Cosplay my culture, if you will, because all the real punks I know are like the nicest dudes who are just honest about themselves. But go cosplay, have fun. But what you guys do, because let's be honest here, you guys have a wide open lane when it comes to pop punk talking about it, because nobody else is talking about what you guys are talking about. So the market is yours. And the cool thing is that, I've met so many people like, oh, I wrote a song about mental health, and then you talk to them and they're just a train wreck of a person. They're a lunatic. And it's like, oh, you just did it because it's catchy or buzzy. But, and that was why, I even initially reached out to you guys, because I kind of wanted to see if the rhetoric was going to match what you guys, if you guys are these type of people off air as well. And you guys are. And how can people go to the website, give us all the links, plugs, all of that stuff, so they can, bother you guys and don't ever go on that math guy show again, or, because when I post this, every time I talk to somebody I mention I'm punk, there's always some gatekeepers who want to tell me how punk I'm not.
Oh, they're going to love us.
So I'm hoping between the three of us that they'll take some pressure off of me and put it all on y'all.
Let's go.
I had one guy who left a comment. I can't remember what interview it was. He was like, oh, if he's punk, then I'm an eagle. And my reply was soar, baby. Soar.
Yeah. Soar, baby. Yeah, that's how you do it, baby.
If people want to tell you that you're not punk, that's the most unpunk thing in the world.
Hey man, that's what I tell them, dude. That's what I tell them.
It's my favorite Billy Joe quote ever, when he's talking about time of your life when people hated it. He was like, we just did the most punk thing by doing the most unpunk thing. Mm-hmm. Like making an acoustic song. Mm-hmm. Because punk is not being normal. There's no mold to what punk is. Punk is just, it's not a lifestyle. It's not anything. It's a mindset. It's just you. You're just you. Mm-hmm. That's what punk is. So a country singer could be punk if they're just them, right?
I got into punk because there was no rules in a world that had rules. And then all of a sudden you get in punk and then there's all these rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the people who make the rules are some of the biggest jerks, man. Blink's not punk, and Rancid's not punk, and
Green Day's not punk.
Green Day's not punk. Yeah, Green Day's not punk. And if a band sells more than 35 tickets, then they've sold out. And it's basically what I'm saying is they're all the crust punk kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure
there's no standard on punk. Punk is what it is, bro. Punk is what you make it.
Yeah, punk is anyone says. Anyone can be punk. And I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of hate because we're technically pop punk. We're not We're not punk.
Right.
When we've just listed 10 bands that are legit punk bands, but yeah, we're not punk. So
I don't know if you guys know who the punk historian is. I did an interview with him. He's got a pretty successful YouTube channel.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yep.
He does great. He does these deep dives into these different bands, and some of them I love, some of them I want to spend 3 minutes on this band. I'm not watching a 35-minute one, but he's a big No Effects guy. And I'm never been,
you're not.
No Effects has never been my thing. I wasn't really big into the skate punk. I appreciated MXPX for a minute, but I was into more of the street punk, the gritty, the dirty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking on our episode about how he's a No Effects guy and he loves Fat Mike and all that. And I'm like, whatever. And how we both got blasted from the other side. Oh, well, Rancid's not punk. Oh, well, Fat Mike, he sold out. And I'm like, can't you just enjoy the music? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here with a guy who's got a No Effects tattoo. I have a Rancid tattoo. And we're going dude, it's just about the music, man. And we're appreciating the art that each other create to the world and to the genre of music. And these freaking gatekeepers, bro, are just so Like get a woman, touch the butt of a woman, so then you don't have to act like a gatekeeper all the time.
Let them have it, man. Let them have it.
I mean, we ran into it too with Machine Gun Kelly. There was plenty of people that were like, "This dude's not this, he's not that." It's like, okay, you might not like. I don't like his music. Steve doesn't like his music. I'm assuming you don't like his music, but we can all sit here and admit that the scene is gonna get more attention with Machine Gun Kelly than it will without him.
Absolutely.
Like, Machine Gun Kelly makes a pop punk record or a punk record, whatever you want to call it, and more kids are gonna be like, "Oh, what's Neck Deep? What's Green Day? What's Blink-182?" And then they're gonna find that, and that's how you find it.
Dude, not only that, I said it on one episode too, and like all those points are so fucking valid. But like the other thing I want to mention is like, not to get MGK talk, but dude, some of those lyrics, whether like he wrote them or not, like these young kids are listening to it, and maybe that's actually helping them through it. I know it is. Like this is helping those young kids through a hard time. Like that is their like segue into like what we're listening to and the Blinks and all that. But like those lyrics might have actually fucking helped that 15-year-old. And yeah, just wanted to throw that out there too.
No, you're right, man. And I'm not really a big gatekeeper guy. Like if you like it, you like it. It is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know, the one thing I've never understood about punk, and metal guys are like this as well, they want to keep their favorite band small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want
to blow up.
Yeah. Like if Machine Gun Kelly, who I don't like, and I agree with you on the lyrics, I agree with you on, man, he's reaching people and he's probably helping them. I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to a Machine Gun Kelly or a Metal God Kelly, MGK. But he's helping the genre of pop punk and all of that. And the purists are coming around going, well, he's not punk. Once again, as you said, to say something is or isn't punk is the most non-punk thing you can do. Like just not get, I mean, but it happened with I think it was Neck Deep, wasn't it? Where that was a punk thing, but then all the gatekeepers said it wasn't.
Yeah.
Green Day went through it.
Green Day went through Blink goes through it every album, it seems like.
Yeah. Facts.
And it's because they want their favorite bands to be small and poor and just theirs.
Yeah, and playing Gilman Street and fucking not going anywhere.
Being poor, as poor and break up and have band members changing all the time. And I hope you guys get Metal God Kelly on your show sometime. And then you guys have to sit there and just deep dive every song with him. I want like a 4-hour Machine Gun Kelly interview of just the time. We're going back to the hip hop days.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all would make some bank off of that episode. All right. Just saying.
Lace up.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, what is your website? Can you give everybody your website address? We'll also put all the links in the description, but for those listening who we don't want you clicking on a website while you're driving.
You want to take it, Steve? Or you want me to?
Yeah, no, I'll take it. So if you want to check us out, you want to go support us, like our stuff, check out our Instagram is Empty Space Podcast, Spotify, Empty Space Podcast, website,
Facebook,
Empty Space
Podcast.
And everything's Empty Space Podcast. Just look it up. The website is probably a pretty good place to go to because it'll lead you to pretty much all the places you can stream the music, and you can check out our merch that we have a little left, but we are getting new merch in. But Empty Space Podcast on everything. Just Google it and you'll find us.
Check out the hoodies with the tie, the athletic tie. You can tell you guys are hockey stands, man. That's a total hockey. I love it. I signed up for a pre-order for that. And unlike your bum friends that you guys have, I will actually pay for it and I will come through.
You know, you earn one for free, man.
No,
we'll give you one.
It's like I told John from Keep Flying, I was like, dude, I want a shirt. And he's like, oh, well, because he lives in Nashville. And I was like, we were supposed to have lunch before they went on tour. And then we got a snowstorm with a half an inch of snow and everything shut down in Nashville.
Yeah.
Schools were canceled, the whole nine, right? So I was like, I can't have them. I got my kids. And so we're going to get together when he gets back home in a couple of weeks. And he's like, I'll get you a shirt. And I said, no, bro, like I'll buy it. I just don't want to pay shipping.
Yeah.
Because when you live like 8 minutes down the road from me, I find it ridiculous. I got to spend $10 for shipping. I would rather buy you lunch than give it to, for shipping. But check out the hoodies because the hoodies are top tier. And when those become available, as much as Batch texts me, I know he will text me with a link. Here, hoodies available, hoodies available, hoodies available.
Hell
but
yeah, man.
We had a little confusion with the time zone
you
change.
Want to hear this? Oh, you want to hear this story?
Before we go, so I had some confusion. I was setting up the interview. I apparently can't tell that Central and Eastern time are now 2 hours apart. I don't know why. Batch got with me. He's like, I thought you said 8:30, not 7:30. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Sorry. I had a situation with an artist out of Italy.
Oh shit.
And they're like, oh, well, let's do it at 2200 hours. And we're in Central European time.
You lost me at 2200.
And I'm like, right, 2200 hours and Central European time. And I'm like Googling what time it is and this and that. So then I said it and it's for like noon. It's like noon my time. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm going about my day and like 10 a.m. they're like hitting me up like, we're on Zoom. Where are you at? And I'm like, I thought you said like 2200. They're like, oh yeah, but you put it as London time, not Central European time. And I got on, like I'm racing around trying to set everything up.
Oh my God.
And then they're like, oh, we only have like 10 minutes left because you took forever. And I was like, I am never working with Europeans again because I can't figure out the time zone. But I was promised a good time zone story. So I want to hear this.
Okay. So this wasn't Eastern European. This was just we've done this twice now. There's a band called Chief State from Vancouver. We set it up with them. We talk to Colonel captains all the time. We never like have an issue with it. We're like, they're 2 hours behind us. Like we're good. I figured Vancouver was the same because I figured, Vancouver, Edmonton, they're right next to each other. It's the same.
Right.
We go to get on with them and it's like 7:30 our time or something. And he's like, I'm still at work for another hour. And we were like, oh my God, what the fuck? So we had to like reschedule it and everything else. But there was this band from California, Protect Your Heart, that we are dropping the interview actually Friday. We went on with them for probably, I don't know, 2 months trying to figure out a time that would work. And we had a date set, a time set, everything was all set. I'm interviewing someone else. In the middle of the interview, the kid's texting me and he's like, where's the Zoom link? We're like ready to go. And I'm like, I said Friday. And he's like, no, you said I'm like, yeah, that's Friday. And he's like, no, that's right now. And I like looked and I'm like, oh my God, my bad. And I like had to change it all up with him. So then I'm sitting there and we're going back and forth. We figured out a time. And I'm like, you mean Eastern time, right? And he's like, no, I mean, whatever they are out there, Pacific time. And I'm like, yo, that's like 11:30 at night here. Like, I'm not doing that. So then we had to go back to the drawing board, figure it out again. And then finally we were like, okay, 5:30 your time, 8:30 our time. We're going to do this on a Friday night. We're going to do this, this, and this. And like, we finally got it done after like 2 months of just like absolute hell. And it was like, it was our fault. And then it was their fault. And then it was our fault. And it was just like, okay, we got to just like sit down and someone's just got to be like, this is what we're doing. This is when we're doing it. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out finally, and they were great, but it was just absolute chaos.
Without mentioning any names, have you ever had an artist stand you up? Like you got you and Steve are just looking at each other. You two are just looking at each other like, hope they show up.
I don't think we've had artists like bail on us the day of, but never.
Oh
yeah, like last second.
Yeah,
never like stand us up.
Yeah, I'm guessing you have.
One of my first interviews that was like that I set up, and it wasn't great too, but it was another artist. We set for like 1 o'clock Eastern time, like 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock Eastern time, I log in. I'm just sitting here. 1:30 goes by, sitting. I mean, I'm reading websites, like, I'm doing whatever.
Yeah.
So finally I'm like, well, they're not coming. And then they came back at like 3:00 Eastern and they're like, where you at? And I was like, we had 1:00. They're replying to my email that says 1:00 Eastern time. They're like, no, you said 3 p.m. Eastern. And I'm like, and I go, scroll up and you'll see. I can't do it now, but I can do it. You pick another time. I've never heard from them again.
Wow.
Because I got argumentative with them about them not being able to read an email.
Saying the truth.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, no, luckily, thank God we've never like really had anyone. We had one that was like, we were supposed to do it. And then the day of, they were like, oh, I can't, I'm doing this, and this instead. And like, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, the first 2 times we're like, all right, that's cool. And then like the third and fourth time we were like, okay, like, I guess that'll fucking have to work then. And like, but no, mostly we just kind of get ghosted. Like we just like, they just won't respond. But that's when we hit up like the big boys. Like we hit up like Neck Deep or like Story So Far or something.
Right.
We're just like taking a shot in the dark. Like, oh, hopefully they're on Instagram right now. Nope, they're not. Okay.
Nope, didn't happen.
I hope Trey Cool sees my message.
Yeah. We tag him in happy birthday posts every year. He hasn't responded yet, but one of these times.
Like I talked to, just like going through DMs and responding back to people who are like, I'd love to do what you do and everything. And they always say that what's your one word of advice? And I was like, if they don't respond to you, they're not rejecting you, because if they leave you on read, they're not rejecting you. It's when you have a back and forth.
They say yes.
And then you never hear yes.
Yeah. Right.
Because I've had some, I've had some bands that are like, I'm like, I just love your music. I'd love to give you a little bit of love, introduce my audience to you guys. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, send us some links of your interviews. And I'm like, you should jump at okay, fine. Here you go. And then you never hear back from them. Oh,
we've had that with one band. Yeah, with one band pops in my mind. I'm not going to say who, but
off air, we need to see if it's the same band.
We'll talk off air, but like, we've had that where like we've had conversations with them and they're like, yeah, email our so-and-so at this place and send a couple links. And we send them like a breakdown that we did of them. Mm-hmm. It's basically us just like, blowing them.
I send them such a nice detailed, nice structured, easy to read email with like 3 different episodes, an interview, just me and him, and a breakdown. And then it's like, we gave you everything. It was a Christmas gift and you still just ghosted us.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And like, then there'll be bands that like won't hit us up, or like we'll hit them up and they won't say anything, but then we'll see them at and we'll go up to them and be like, hey, like we do this, and this. And they're like, yeah, I know who you guys are. We're like, yeah, we're that podcast that hits you up 6 times a week. Like, but no, I mean, we've met some incredible people doing this, man. And it's just been like, that's how we got John Ryan on. We just happened to be a Lost for Words played a show at a VFW in Brockton. And Keith Flying was on the bill with like Sherry and Moore and a couple other bands, Dog Hotel. And like, we're sitting there watching Dog Hotel and we're like, that's fucking Tori from Transit. And Steve was like, holy shit, it is. And like, we went up to him and talked to him and he was all about coming on. And then like Keith Flying comes on and just like, they broke the stage. It was bananas. Everyone was like, who the hell are these guys?
Right.
And then John went on this spiel about how like this band saved his life and how he was super depressed and everything else. And me and Steve, like, we're like, that's the guy. We got to get that guy. And like, as soon as we talked to him, gave him a sticker and we were like, this is what we're about. And he was like, oh, I'm coming on. He's like, when I get back from tour, we're setting it up. I'm coming on. And like, we have a couple mutual friends that kind of helped, pave the way and stuff. And and like, we had Maddie on before. So we're like walking around and he comes over, he gives us a hug, he's talking to us. We're like, if you told 15-year-old Batch and Steve that they were going to be hugging Maddie Arsenal from a Lost for Words, we would have like slapped our teeth out. We
right.
Like, shut up. No, you're not. Like, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like I said, anyone that like asks us about it, we're like, just hit them up, man. Like, what's the worst they're going to say? And like, we have friends that are in podcasting that do the same thing that we do, just without the mental health. They're a pop punk podcast. And they have the same bands on we do, and we've helped them out get these bands on where we've been like, these bands have asked us, they've been like, hey, are these dudes like legit or what's the deal with them? We're like, yeah, we're like, go on and talk to them. They're good dudes, like they're whatever. And they do. And then, likewise with them, it's like you said, where there's like this competitiveness with it. And it's like, why? There's enough of the pie to go around for everyone. And like, if everyone gets a piece, it just gets bigger. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It just grows.
Well, I mean, you think about it like you think about like that we're all artists. And man, we might be playing on the same tour, the same bill with each other to the same fans. So what? I mean, like I said, I've reached out to, there's one person, I'll say it that way. Because another off air where I was like, hey, I love what you're doing. You interview some pretty cool bands. I'd love to interview you. And just, because I got people from my years in the music industry and all this stuff. Like I got people who just listen in because they want to hear the business side of things. So let me interview you. And no, this person straight up said no. Wow. And I was like, okay. And then I'm like, do I know you? Like, why are you? And the response was, why would I give my audience to you?
Oh,
wow.
See ya.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I can't wait to know who this is.
Yeah, me too.
All right, cool.
Damn.
Do your thing. And I'm like, well, I hope you change your mind one day. Because I mean, really, we're all doing this to help the artists because we want to, we love the music, love the genre. The minute you get your ego involved, have fun.
You're all done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And fun. That's why I don't think we've ever told a band no. I don't think we've ever been like,
never.
No, no matter how big, how small, no matter whatever, we're just like that Uncanny Valley band has, I think, 300 followers on Instagram. Right. And we were like, yeah, fuck it. Like, come on and let people find out who you are. Like,
dude, we had that like weird hip hop, pop punk kid on too. At one point, that was, remember that we plugged his music at the end. We didn't have. We're just trying to spread the love and the music and the same shit. We're on the same team, man. Like we're talking about, like it's just crazy that some people can just get. I guess not crazy. It's, you see the world how it is sometimes, but like, yeah, that's messed up, dude. Like, Jesus Christ.
If Parker Cannon's gonna say he'll come on our podcast, like, there's no one that won't come on, like to us.
Yeah, to us,
that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just wild. That's that person said that to you. Like, why would I give my audience to you? It's like, well, why would I give mine to you?
Right. And it's
like,
and I mean,
basing this off audience.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's why, like I did the punk historian and I did, like what I'm doing to you guys, and I got other like content creators of the genre, and I'm like, bro, I'm just like, the way you win is when you all pull on the rope together.
Right.
Like you want to be your little island and you want to take on everybody, then you have no covering. You have nobody who can say, yo, I just interviewed this dude. This guy's a lunatic. You need to stay as far away from interviewing this person, or they're not going to promote your show, your episode when it comes out. Like, don't even waste your time. It's going to be a net loss for you. If you don't want that in your life, cool. But I'm trying to like build a community of people who can just help the genre and help these artists. Bands like Keep Flying. I mean, dude, I've interviewed, and Keep Flying isn't one of them, but I've interviewed bands. I'm like, this thing's going to do a few hundred views on YouTube, a couple hundred plays on Spotify or whatever. It ain't going to, there ain't going to be no bags of cash from this one. It's not going to do, but I love the band. And if I can get 10 more fans for them, awesome. Cause I love what they do.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
And it's because it can't be about money or anything like that, like.
No, if like we've always said, if the money comes, it comes.
Right.
But like, we're not like sitting here being like, let's not interview this band because they don't have any followers. Let's just go for like these big ones instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not going to work. Like, it was the coolest thing I think we've had in an interview. One of them, when we interviewed that Uncanny Valley band, the kid was like, we had like a mini meltdown before we came on here because we've been huge fans of you guys since the start. And when you guys hit us up to come on, we're like little schoolgirls jumping around,
Yeah.
partying.
Right.
I was like, holy shit! Like that's so cool. Like that was
Right.
amazing.
Well, guys, I appreciate you so much for what you do.
Hell yeah!
Congratulations. This is the longest interview I've ever done. The record,
Let's go.
the record now belongs. Sorry to Rev from the Drowns. You've lost now to the Empty Space podcast.
This
Hell
is what we
yeah.
do, baby.
That's it. That's it. I told
See?
you, the Joe Rogan of this shit.
Look, y'all corrupted me with my 90-minute interview. All right. I'm going to break this.
Dude.
I'm going to break this thing up into 3 volumes. All right. It's going to be
Fuck
like
yeah.
every month there's another 30-minute episode that comes out from this because y'all have corrupted me to your way of doing things. But Empty Space Podcast on Instagram,
Facebook.
on Facebook, and the website is emptyspacepodcast.com. Is that what it is?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, I
New
appreciate
merch
you.
coming.
And I'm gonna, when I have an artist cancel on me, I'm gonna bring you guys back.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Hell yeah.
Like
Anytime,
I meet
dude.
my one week quota of interviewing somebody. We can talk about hockey or
Yeah.
Why don't you like
Dude,
baseball?
literally call it anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah. Anytime we'll come on.
I
We're so appreciative of you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I
we really
appreciate you guys.
it, dude. Thank you so much for this. Thanks for all the support too, and thank you for your kind words. Really means a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My publicist wrote it for me. No, I kid. I kid.